Yeah, what time is it? Yeah, what time is it? Yeah, he's back from the dead. Putting it on the map, yeah. Saskatoon, right next to New York. Yeah, but show, yeah. What time is it? Yeah, time to talk some shit, yeah. Yeah, he's back from the dead. Bangs the map, yeah. Saskatoon, on the street, yeah. Right next to New York. Yeah, but show, yeah.
Well,
what time is it? Yeah, time to talk some shit, yeah. Gary, back from the dead. Bangs the map, yeah. Saskatoon, on the street, yeah. Right next to New York.
That was me. And,
Yeah, but show, yeah.
well,
what time is it? Yeah, time to talk some shit, yeah. Gary, back from the dead. Bangs the map, yeah. Saskatoon, on the street, yeah. Right next to New York.
that was me. And,
Yeah, but show, yeah.
well,
what time is it? Yeah, time to talk some shit, yeah. Gary, back from the dead. Bangs the map, yeah. Saskatoon, on the street, yeah. Right next to New York.
whatever you stuck with on one of the stuff. And,
Yeah, but show, yeah.
well,
what time is it?
yeah.
Yeah, time to talk some shit, yeah.
Groundhog here.
Back from the dead. Bangs the map, yeah. Saskatoon, on the street, yeah. Right next to New York.
Whatever you stuck with on one of the stuff. And,
Yeah, but show, yeah.
well,
what time is it?
yeah.
Yeah, time to talk some shit, yeah.
Groundhog here.
Back from the dead. Bangs the map, yeah. Saskatoon, on the street, yeah. Right next to New York.
Whatever you stuck with on one of the stuff. And,
Yeah, but show, yeah.
well,
what time is it?
yeah.
Yeah, time to talk some shit, yeah.
Groundhog here.
Back from the dead. Bangs the map, yeah. Saskatoon, on the street, yeah. Right next to New York.
Whatever you stuck with on one of the stuff. And,
Yeah, show, yeah.
well,
what time is it?
yeah.
Time to talk some shit, yeah.
Groundhog here.
Back from the dead. Bangs the map, yeah. Saskatoon, on the street, yeah. Right next to New York.
Whatever you stuck with on one of the stuff.
Yeah, show, yeah.
Well,
what time is it?
yeah.
Time to talk some shit, yeah.
Groundhog here.
Back from the dead. Bangs the map, yeah. Saskatoon, on the street, yeah. Right next to New York.
Whatever you stuck with on one of the stuff.
Yeah, show, yeah.
Well,
what time is it?
yeah.
Time to talk some shit, yeah.
Groundhog here.
Back from the dead. Bangs the map, yeah. Saskatoon, on the street, yeah. Right next to New York.
Whatever you stuck with on one of the stuff.
Yeah, show, yeah.
Well,
what time is it?
yeah.
Time to talk some shit, yeah.
Groundhog here.
Back from the dead.
Yeah, that's
Map, yeah.
Nice little nice crossover. Yeah, It's like my shampoo. oh, there goes the dragon. And there goes dragon. Okay, Other dragon. other dragon. So should we do a viewing room intro? Let's do the viewing give the intro. folks what they want. Let's do it. Welcome to the viewing room, where we talk about films new and old, local and global. Today we're going to be talking about Groundhog Day, which was released February 12th, 1993. So usually it takes me 12 times to get that intro right. normally, That was really normally good. there's a lot of goofing around, and I play some random music at the beginning, and yeah. There's a so lot of we lot of got to be fun. careful about what we say, because this isn't as much produced. This is live. Oh, this is all raw. so- Funny. No, actually, never mind. So, Groundhog Day, budget of 14.6 million USD, grossing 70 million USD at the box office. Now, I'm sure it's grossed more in DVDs and whatnot, but that was the box office details. $14.6 million, two of which went to Bill Murray, from what I could tell. So, already like that, Yeah. you're at $12 million.
Not
Groundhog
a
Day.
very like
Budget
high budget
intro.
film.
Like
Break down how it's.
You you can kind of see why, right?
Yeah.
So,
do you know how long they shot? Say
$1 million
shooting
to
it?
which went to
I feel
Bill
like it would be
Murray,
pretty
from what I
quick.
could tell.
I wanted to say it was 22 days.
Already like that,
Yeah.
you're
I
at
wanted
$12
to say
million.
That was
Groundhog
not a
Day.
very like high budget
I'm not
film.
sure. He knows the longer Bill Murray works on a movie, not the angrier, but the more restless he gets and the grouchier he gets. So he actually did all the easy scenes first, he said, and then did the hard scenes later where Bill Murray was supposed to be a bad guy.
Yeah.
Because he thought he'd get a better performance
Right.
from a grouchy Bill Murray.
I have to say, I went into it expecting Bill Murray to be his usual asshole self, and he was. He delivered.
Yeah. Another film.
I've never
Bill
watched
Murray...
a Bill Murray movie where he isn't a complete asshole for at least part of it.
Yeah, I don't know. And then by the end, you like Bill Murray, right? So it's like,
yeah.
it's like I don't know. Bill Murray is so good at being so hateable but so likable at the same.
Exactly. Right.
Time.
It's so weird.
Yeah, another movie where a girl falls in love with Bill Murray. She's 10 times above his
right
class, but whatever. Maybe for people who aren't as into the film stuff, we kind of explained this on the show a few times, but to save money when you shoot a film, you don't shoot it from start to finish, okay? Yeah. I mean, some abstract directors might do that, whatever. But usually, when you get a location and you say, okay, we're going to be at Avengers Tower 6 times in the film. Well, we're not going to go to Avengers Tower 6 times, right, and move our location and crew. We're going to shoot 3 days in Avengers Tower and get those scenes out of the way, and then we'll move somewhere else. And then that way we can move as little as possible, stay in the same location. Yeah. Sometimes there's reshoots, whatever, doesn't work out. But that's kind of how you do it to save money. So when we're shooting in a film that takes place in similar locations and has reoccurring scenes, well,
it'll be really quick because you don't have to make that many changes for each scene, right?
Right. Like Bill Murray, let's say he goes to this bar 6 times. Okay, well, we know that's one location, and it's 6 scenes with a little bit of variation, but we're same characters, same time of day, same outfits, right? And it's just a change in dialogue. So really, it might only be a day and a half of shooting at this one location, and then boom, we're done, right? And so that's kind of why I think this film doesn't have as big as a budget as we may have thought from a '93 Bill Murray movie, right? This is a third of the budget of what Ghostbusters 2 would have had a couple years prior.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But there you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Synopsis.
Okay.
I want the synopsis.
I don't have my phone on me, so you go to the phone. I should say, cast: Bill Murray, Annie McDowell, Chris Elliott. Those are our kind of main trio, and it's directed by Harold Ramis. I guess Bill Murray and Harold Ramis had a bit of contention going through the years. It kind of did stop Bill Murray and Harold Ramis from talking for a bit, and then they reconnected before Harold Ramis died, fortunately. But this movie was part of the reason that they actually kind of fell apart a bit. But you go ahead and read the synopsis.
A cynical TV weatherman finds himself reliving the same day over and over again when he goes on a location to the small town of Puxatawny to film a report about their annual Groundhog Day. His predicament drives him to distraction until he sees a way of turning the situation to his advantage. Yeah. And yes, he does.
Yes, exactly. So this isn't a new idea per se.
No.
This is something that has been done a lot in film, and it's not like a super original idea, but it's executed very well, where we have Bill Murray trapped reliving a day, and we're going to see him going through different scenarios like, hey, how could I make the most money this day? How could I get with the most women this day, right?
Yeah, right.
What's the craziest thing I could do and get away with? And what can I learn and how can I grow, right? And so we see a lot of that. So there's actually 38 days depicted in this movie.
Yep.
38 individual scenarios or days.
Yeah. I think there's a lot more than that, though.
Yes.
Like, they make reference to it a few times that he's potentially spent months there.
Yeah, especially since he learned how to play piano and recite French poetry and XYZ. He does all these things that it would actually make you think that he maybe spent 3 months, right? And not just over a month, right? So I think we're on the same page about that. I'm happy you think the same way, because I was considering that up as well. So usually at this point we do a plot. We can kind of speed run the plot this time.
I think it's pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah. Bill Murray, weather reporter. He kind of wants to move up in the world. He's not really happy with where he's at right now. New producer Rita comes in, and you know, she's the attractive girl that's gonna fall in love with Bill Murray, even though Bill Murray's not an upstanding guy.
No.
But we'll get there. And yeah, so they go to Punxsutawney to essentially celebrate Groundhog Day, where they pull a little groundhog out of a stump. This is a real thing in Punxsutawney, by the way. And if the groundhog sees its
Groundhog saw his shadow this year.
yes,
he did.
yesterday at the Groundhog Festival in Punxsutawney.
Yep.
Punxsutawney Phil
Punxsutawney Phil.
has seen his shadow again this year, which means we have 6 more weeks of winter for you Canadian folk.
Well, I mean, honestly, Groundhog Day, like, especially when you live in Canada, it's like, even
It's
if
more
he
of
says
groundhog suggestion.
Yeah. Or like Groundhog Day festival,
Yeah.
and weather's gonna do whatever it's gonna do, and most of the time you get another 2 months of winter.
Yeah, dude. Why are they waking up that poor groundhog for what?
Right?
Yeah, dude. So, yeah, groundhog this year said six more weeks of winter. So did it in this film as well.
Yeah.
So obviously, big festival for a small town, usually bringing around maybe like 2,000 people. So it's a big event for Punxsutawney. And for Bill Murray, he does this every year. It's old, it's boring, it sucks. And he's just not happy with it. He can't wait to be done and move on to bigger, better things. But the universe has other plans for him, because when the day is over, he wakes up and has to do it all over again and again and again. So he tries various things to understand his situation, which later involves him trying to off himself in a few various ways.
Yep.
Like a toaster
Toaster
bath.
bath.
Yeah, which was pretty crazy. Jumping off a building, other stuff. And
My one question with that was, and they didn't explain it very well, if at all, was, let's say he commits suicide, right? He gets hit by a train, jumps off a building or something. Is it immediately reset, or does the rest of the world live out the rest of that day, right? Like, they find his body and they're so confused and yada yada yada, and
they live out the rest of the day. And the reason I'm going to say that so adamantly is because when he jumps off, there's a scene right after in the morgue where, like, the mortician, whatever, lifts up the sheet.
That's right.
And Rita is there, and she's like, yeah, that's him, right? So goes till 6 or whenever it goes till 6 a.m.
Yeah.
And then, I got you, babe, right? And then we're back.
Yep. That music, using that same music to make it clear to us that it's the same day, is another really clever way of doing
and
it. That
music, I Got You, Babe, was written in the original script because of how repetitive that song already is. Funny enough. Yeah. So yeah, that's why I think that it.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. I forgot about that one
going.
scene. So yeah, that makes sense.
To me, that's why. So Bill Murray is trapped in this time loop where no matter what he does, he tries killing Punxsutawney Phil. He kidnaps Punxsutawney Phil, which is funny. He gets unhinged.
I love how he doesn't even doesn't just like shoot him or something. He has to drive him off a freaking cliff.
Yeah.
Like
yeah. And funny enough, Punxsutawney Phil in that scene bit Bill Murray so bad that Bill Murray had to go get medical help because he was bleeding so bad.
Funny.
And a rabies shot. He was actually bit twice by the groundhog in this film. Poor Bill Murray.
Poor groundhog.
Poor groundhog.
Had to bite Bill Murray.
Yeah. So what happened is, in one of the vehicle shots, the groundhog is trying to escape over the wheel of the steering wheel, and Bill Murray keeps pulling him back so he doesn't escape. I guess the groundhog must have just turned around and went, and bit his hand, right? And so he was bit twice. So that wouldn't have been fun for everyone. They gave him a rabies vaccine and all that. Just couldn't imagine that, man. That's so funny. And the day keeps going on, and there's little variations, right? So
we see him.
I don't think we need to. No, we don't need to go into all of it.
Yeah, I mean, there's little variations, and we see him, like you said, trying different things, trying to, rob banks, sleep with people, whatever. And then also, but like they show within those, I'm gonna call them like story or day cycles, I guess you'd say, of like, so, for this set of days he's trying to achieve XYZ, but it takes him multiple days to do that because, the first day he's got to go and he gets halfway through the conversation before, they're discussing with him and, but then he's got the information. So then the next day he can make it further and then further and then.
And so they have a really good scene where he's trying to figure out Rita's favorite drink.
Yes.
Once he hears Rita's favorite drink, he immediately walks back into the room. And he's like, what should we drink to? And she's like, oh, I usually drink to world peace. And he walks right back into the room. And he's like, to world peace.
Yeah,
right. Right. And whatnot. And so he tries to fall in love with Rita by basically memorizing everything about her.
Yeah.
And I guess she falls for it for a bit, and then she doesn't fall for it. And he kind of realizes, oh, man, it might actually be hopeless because he's tried so many times over and over and over again to get her to fall in love with him, but it won't work. But at this point, he's actually fallen in love with her because he knows everything about her and how similar they are. But she doesn't know that because she's had 6 hours of liking Phil to get to know him. He's had 30 days, right?
Yeah, right.
Of just every day with her. And so, it's creepy to her. and to an audience, it's also like feels a little weird.
Yeah.
But to him, of course, it makes sense, right? Because he spent all this time trapped in this moment, right? That's all he has to cling on to.
Yeah.
And so eventually Bill Murray gives up. He tries doing all the things like killing himself. It doesn't work. And then I guess he's memorized the day and the events so much that he's trying to escape, and he realizes that, hold on a second, maybe it's not about falling in love or doing this. It's maybe more about doing the right thing to actually get through the day.
Right.
And so he starts to take things seriously again, where he's like, he's actually going to put some effort and work into the Groundhog Festival and presenting it to the news, as hard as it might be for him. He's going to help people around the city. He's going to buy life insurance from Ned. Ned's the guy's name, right?
Yeah.
He and instead of trying to trick Rita into falling in love with him, he's going to just try and be who he should be and do the right thing and not try and gaslight her or manipulate her into being in love with him, right?
Right.
It eventually works. The day finally ends and Bill Murray escapes.
Yeah.
And we're left being like, hey, Bill Murray is finally there. Which means we should have a little reset.
Yeah, I was going to say. So this is, again, we're checking in here on your show, the Monday edition, and also Viewing Room for those of you who are listening or watching to the Viewing Room. So if you want to, we saw this movie through Coliseum Presents. They put on a lot of great events here in town, local film events. So if you want to get in touch with us, just like they did, you can head over to our website, dufferinav.com.
Dufferinav.com.
Yeah.
Dufferinav.com. Do what Gary does.
Yeah, do what Gary. I'm not doing that. I can't do it as well as him.
Yeah.
So that's our website, and as Gary says, I did it in the wrong order. He always does the email first, so that you say if that's too long, then you can. Well, anyway, contact@dufferinav.com.
That's our email.
That's how you know we're serious. Is we have our own email domain. Like that's how you know somebody's a serious business is they have their own email domain. So yeah, if you want to get in touch with us, we're hyper local. We do lots of community focused stuff like Coliseum. Things that really help out in the community and getting people together. So yeah,
absolutely.
Check us out.
And the Viewing Room also has an Instagram @theviewingroom_ for anyone who isn't a listener of our show but wants to check out some of our clips, highlights, and support us. So please check out the Viewing Room _ on Instagram, and we love to see you there.
We also have a Dufferin Ave Instagram, but I don't know what it is.
It is just Dufferin Avenue Media,
yeah.
I think. So
Gary doesn't push the social medias enough because he doesn't like social media. So
I
don't have those ones memorized.
It's our job now.
Yeah.
So, funny enough, this film is actually filmed in Woodstock, Illinois. Not Pennsylvania.
How much wood could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood?
Wow. Okay. That should be like is that like a pilot thing? That's how you're supposed to talk on the radio or something? Every single pilot sounds like that on the radio, mixed in a few ahs.
What's your record for longest? 11 seconds.
Yeah,
Ladies and gentlemen, From the flight deck, this is your captain speaking. We've reached our cruising altitude, and we're gonna take a breath before that one.
It'd be crazy if you just fell over and I had to do the rest of the show. You know, I wouldn't stop. I would just be like, you're watching your show, Dufferin Ave Media Network's #1 hit show from 4 to 5 Monday to Friday.
No, we're the #1 hit show.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Remember.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, okay.
Statistically,
Sure.
we are the #1 show.
Oh, you keep telling yourself that.
Have you looked at the statistics?
No.
Then you have to take my word for it, because I have.
I guess so, yeah. Like I said, this is a pretty common theme.
Yeah.
For a movie, and truthfully, I think it's just executed so well that it works, right?
I mean, I don't know if it's executed like spectacular. It's good, but I don't feel like it's anything special. Like I haven't, like, I mean, one of the movies I've watched that's very much like this is Edge of Tomorrow with Tom Cruise and Emily Blunt. And that's another one that's really well executed.
It is good, yeah.
I don't know. I can't think of any more off the top of my head that are like this. This exact kind of reliving the same day.
Right. The time loop thing has been done, right?
But yeah, no, I don't know. I don't think there's anything like over the top special about this one.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's good. Like that's the thing, is it's not bad at all. I just don't think it's like standout special.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's a little more special to me. I think it's very charming, and some of its humor, like in seeing Bill Murray have a bit of a redemption arc, is sweet. And I think for me, there's enough moments of Bill Murray going from asshole to nice guy back to asshole that it puts you on a journey of like, oh, is he actually going to learn and change?
Is he actually going to redeem himself?
And he does eventually redeem himself, right? And I think that's a good thing. You know, he starts to actually care, and he's in it for the right reasons, actually caring and not trying to gain something out of it.
Yeah.
I mean, you can argue he's trying to gain his freedom back out of a time loop or whatever, but I mean, at a certain point, he's tried that, right? And so, whatever. And one thing I enjoy is the message isn't preached, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
It's never once said that, oh, I have to be a good guy to escape the day or whatever like that. It's just shown to us as an audience.
Well, and also I think it's shown to him as well, because he's trying to figure out, okay, how the hell do I get out of this loop? It's not like, you know, some deity comes down and to exit this loop you must whatever, you know. So I think that also, it's like positive reinforcement, you know, in a way. When he does good things happen.
Yeah, and it's not being spoon fed to us in any way.
That too, yeah.
It's very consistent, and you know, it's not going to be some crazy voiceover or exposition being like, okay, you know, I am and Phil with the news, and I'm going to escape and challenge my inner self. It's like, no, he tries and tries. And
we're
tries,
trying to
and
figure it
tries
out
a
with
lot.
him as we go. Like, okay, well, how about this? How
Exactly.
about this?
Exactly. Yes, and
Yeah.
I like that. You know, before this film was released, Punxsutawney had about 2,000 people coming on their Groundhog Day celebration. Right. Now, an average of 20 to 40,000 people come for their festival.
That's pretty cool, actually.
Yes. So there is a lot of people coming to see this, and it's awesome. Yeah. I mean, we're hearing about it still to this day. I mean, it's been going on a long time. This movie didn't create this thing. This has been going on forever. I
wonder what the origin of Groundhog Day is.
So, I don't know.
I
don't know a lot about the origins, but I do know there is a line in here that Bill Murray says, and he's like shouting, he's like, yo, you people used to eat the groundhog when this day really meant something, right? Which is true. The original origins of Groundhog Day was actually more of a hunt, from what I can tell, and they would eat groundhogs on Groundhog Day. And then it turned into something less than that. I don't know if it was like mad cow disease or something like that, or chronic wasting disease. But yeah, like that was kind of not like, that wasn't a throwaway line. That kind of actually does have some meaning to it. I don't know the exact roots, but that was something I was reading. It's like, hey, this is actually like, he was right in saying this.
Yeah.
Which, funny enough, right?
Right. Yeah.
And obviously Harold Ramis passed away. 2008, is that when he passed away?
I don't remember exactly.
And luckily Bill Murray and him kind of came back together after that. But yeah, there's always been there was a lot of contention between them for some time, and I don't think it shows at all. But I don't know. I think Harold Ramis had a lot of people in mind for who he was choosing to have the role of Phil.
Yeah.
And I know there was a lot of talks between different actors and stuff, but it was eventually settled with Bill Murray, and he thought that like, hey, Bill Murray can be lovable and hateable enough
Yeah.
to pull this off, right?
Right.
And they made it happen. Harold Ramis is almost he's not very recognizable in this film as like the doctor. When Bill Murray goes to the doctor to get like the scans and whatnot. Very
That's Harold Ramis?
yeah. Yeah, isn't it pretty crazy?
I didn't notice that.
Yeah,
That's cool.
Yeah, and I was like yeah, not recognizable.
That's like Peter
at all.
Jackson level.
Yeah.
Like
not
he was always
recognizable.
famous for his cameos, but like he would hide them really well.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. Like I don't know what was going on there, but it was
Interesting.
very hidden. Yeah, I mean, I don't have much left to say. What about you?
Honestly, like this movie it's just one of those ones that like it's good, but like I feel like there's not a lot to analyze in a way. Like they don't really go out and try anything new exactly. I don't feel like and maybe at this time that whole time travel loop was not as common, but I feel like when I watch this I'm like, yep, good movie. I enjoyed it. I might watch it again. Not going to go out my way to watch it again, but I wasn't like they didn't do anything. And I'm not saying every movie has to try something new at all, right? Like you can make a great movie and not try anything new. But like I just feel like it's all pretty vanilla, and so that doesn't leave a lot to like, oh, I really liked the way they had this that really did something else, and you know what I mean? Like I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like, I agree with some of the stuff you said, but for me, like, I think this movie is really good. Like, I enjoy specifically Bill Murray's character.
Right.
I like the character journey in it, and to me, it feels more realistic. It's not super hyper dramatic in a way. It's like, it actually it's hard to explain, but it actually feels like Bill Murray is going through that time loop, and you feel some of his desperation. And then you actually notice a change in his performances and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
I don't know, like I've always just appreciated how well it flows together.
Yeah.
I think the editing in this film is a big thing for me too. A lot of those scenes where Bill Murray will like say something and then instantly walking back into the room or instantly cutting and saying something, lots of jump cuts and stuff like that. I think the editing brings it together in a big part for me.
Well, the other thing I was thinking about is like, you know, a lot of films they will have a lot more what's the word I'm looking for? Improvisation in them. And I feel like this is one where they couldn't do that as much because there are so many things that need to be specific, right?
True.
Like the conversations need to go exactly the same way so that he can fit those things that he learned the first day in, right? And so I wonder if that
less for Bill Murray.
For Bill Murray.
Bill Murray can do a little bit of improv and shift, but I'd say every other actor has it the most. Like especially Ned.
Yeah.
Every single Ned scene, he has to be the same thing.
Yeah.
Phil.
You know what? They probably only shot that once because they cut away from that. That like when he first notices him in the street and then he runs over. They probably only shot that once because I'm pretty sure they used the same shot every time because it cuts away to as soon as these teams start to run, it cuts to whatever that specific scene is.
But Phil says different things.
Right. But
each time.
Right.
So I feel
he definitely does.
I feel like
but some of them they could only shoot once.
I mean, maybe, yeah. I feel like that one, I'd have to see if there was like a cutaway shot in between, because I feel like a lot of time Phil is saying different things, and
right,
like
he is.
One
but on that
scene, he comes up and goes, "Phil," and then Phil turns around and hugs Ned like super crazy, and Ned like runs away.
True.
Right. So like, Ned's the one that runs away, which is pretty funny.
Yeah.
But I see what you mean. That is an interesting point to see like how many of those scenes were actually shot how many times. If you're just changing up the dialogue a bit, you know, maybe you only have to do the close up on some of the actors like Rita once or twice. You know, you know what I mean? And then Bill Murray's close ups have to be done 100 times. but when you only have one reaction shot, like, oh yeah, my favorite drink is XYZ, or you know, I like to drink to world peace. Well, Bill Murray is the only one who's really changing his thing until the character is unless the other character is reacting to what Bill
Right.
Murray is saying.
When
like,
it goes, then each time it gets further in a conversation, hopefully.
and
Right,
it
but
has
yeah.
some variation. But yeah, I think that is true for what you say, because there really isn't any. Not that there isn't improvisation, but you're right. You have to be a little more precise. You can't like.
Yeah.
You have to be intentional with how you film
Yeah.
it, and I think that's why I like this movie. Is I feel like everything had a bit of a purpose.
Yeah.
And I'm not sitting there like, okay, well, why did he do that? Why did he do that? I mean, if you want to nitpick and pick apart every little thing that Bill Murray did, but I think realistically, it feels like Bill Murray is acting with intention.
Yeah.
And I don't.
Yeah.
It works
Well, and it's
for
also,
me.
It also has to be planned too. Like that's the other thing is like the amount of planning that would go into it to make this all come together. So the writers and the directors and everyone who is involved in the planning of it, they really.
Your director needs to really understand the script.
Yeah.
And make sure that things are going to be smooth and go ahead. And your script supervisors have an important job
very,
ahead of them.
very true. The script supervisors are very important on this.
Yes, assistant directors, script supervisors, all those guys.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this is a good discussion for this film. Hey.
Yeah.
You want to rate it?
I've been thinking about this. I see, like, this is one of those ones where, like, I enjoyed it and I felt like it was a good film, but, like, I don't feel like it deserves a super high rating. So, yeah, like, I don't know, like, I don't know. I guess I'm gonna go with a 7.
A 7? Okay. Like a 7's respectable. Like it's a good movie.
Yeah, like that's the thing is
Yeah.
is there's nothing bad and there's nothing fantastic. It's just good. Right? It's just a solid movie.
Yeah, like I don't think this film is necessarily like magnum opus of cinema, but I do really enjoy it. Like it's probably an 8. It's an 8 out of 10 for me probably. I enjoy the performances a lot. I think Bill Murray does a great job. I like Bill Murray, but I think he does such a good job of being asshole to good guy. I think
Well,
he
and
has a good
everything he
range of
does.
that.
I mean,
Yeah,
when in
exactly.
Ghostbusters and everything, he plays the asshole perfectly. Like,
Yeah. Oh man.
you almost wonder if he's acting in some of those scenes.
Yeah. Well, that's just it. And I don't know. I really enjoyed this film. I love a lot of things about it, and it's easy to watch too, right?
Yeah,
like,
right. That's true.
I'm not trying to sit and fight with the logic in my head and like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just kind of believe it's happening, right? There's no mystical curse or charm or
Right.
witch that comes out of nowhere,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
it's kind of left unexplained, and is that okay? I think so.
I think so. But that's another good point is we kind of know something, like we kind of know. The one thing I wondered was with that nurse. That nurse, when she's like, well, some people just die and there's no body and there's no chart and anything. Like that was like the turning point where all of a sudden, it was like, okay, I think this might be the morning that he wakes up just fine. And so I wonder, like, we're not 100% sure, but we have an idea of kind of what did it. But I kind of like that at the same time, like you said, we don't really know.
My theory is when Bill Murray, the first day, is trying to get out of Punxsutawney, he's like trying to make a call on the long distance line, and someone walks by and hits him on the head with a shovel. My theory is that he was hit on the head by that shovel and it gave him brain damage.
So he's been living in a white padded room the whole time.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, well, I am going to get the poster because I didn't grab it initially.
Oh, right, that's right. This is on a poster.
It's on the
So,
poster. Explain the poster.
Yeah. So for Christmas, we exchanged gifts. I got Ethan and myself, but we got custom viewing room T-shirts. Yeah, I did. Well, it was you, but then I couldn't just get you a T-shirt and not get me one, so I got myself a T-shirt as well. So custom viewing room T-shirts. And Ethan, we'd kind of talked about this months ago when we first started the show, but Ethan got a top 100 movie posters according to whoever made this poster. And it's like got the little scratcher squares for each of the 100 movies on it. So when you watch the movie, scratch it off. And now we've watched, probably between us, we figure about 80% of these. maybe 90. But what we're doing is when we watch them and review them on Viewing Room, that's when we scratch them off. So we're going to do, Groundhog Day is the last one on here. All right.
Use my keys.
Use your keys.
We can hold it up. Please be a groundhog. Please be a groundhog.
Oh, it's the
6 o'clock.
6 infinity. Actually, that's kind of cool with the infinity symbol.
I think that's really awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. That's because that really represents it. Because how many times do they show that 6 on the clock?
There, we can hold it up here. Maybe it might be good to go to camera 3, but you can see it down there. 6 o'clock. Yeah, this really wasn't working as good as it could. So you can see all the movies we've reviewed so far. Sorry. This is the 9th movie we've done on this list. Like I said, we've probably watched most of them, but yeah. So I guess we have a few coming up with Coliseum Presents, but you should also let us know in the comments, in the chat, anywhere, or on the Instagram page. You can send us a DM what movies you want to see next. It doesn't have to be on this list. It can be one of your favorites. It can be something super abstract.
Something you hate, too, if you want to see us talk about something you hate.
It could be a really bad movie. It could be a really great movie. And it could be a short film. If you want to see us do some short films, we can make it happen. So send us a message at the Viewing Room _. Send us a message on Damn, anywhere. We are always happy to hear from you guys. And I don't know. Are we going to keep going?
I think we got about 20 minutes left in the Your Show version of this. So we'll cut off the Viewing Room here. So thank you for watching the Viewing Room. And now we'll continue with Your Show on the Dufferin Avenue Media Network. Check us out, dufferinave.com. Just as we were saying about with Viewing Room, if you have a movie or something you want us to do in the Viewing Room, the same thing with Dufferin Ave. If you are an advertiser, you're a local community organization, or whatever you are, you have an idea for a show, anything, we'd love to hear from you. So yeah, reach out to us, dufferinave.com. Our email is contact@dufferinave.com.
Yes. We should have prepared a game or something.
No, I haven't. I have something we were going to talk about.
Okay.
Because I know
Not tariffs, right?
No politics, no religion. Gary's not here to police us, but we're not talking about that. So, what I want to talk about, you're not a CFL guy, are you? But I have to talk about the CFL.
I'm not much of a CFL guy.
Okay.
Like, I'll watch a Riders game here or there.
Okay, good. The right team. Good.
I mean, we're in Saskatchewan. We were Bombers. Like, come on.
Don't even mention that name. Actually, you can though, because they're not going to do very well this next year.
Really?
No, they're not. No.
Okay.
No, they no, they're not.
Isn't the Powerball? Was it the Powerball yesterday? When was the Powerball?
Powerball.
The NFL.
The Super Bowl.
No, the Super Bowl is next week, right?
Yeah, it's on Sunday. Sunday the 9th. 5:30 local time, I think.
Yeah, wasn't it like the Powerball last night or something?
I don't know.
I have no idea.
I'm not really much of an NFL guy, so
I'm not like huge into the sports scene, but
yeah. Well, I was gonna save this for when Gary had me on next, but I need content for the show. So
okay,
we have 3 big trades for Saskatchewan. So first was Jake Mayer signing as a backup quarterback, and then we had Andrew Harris signing as the running back coach. He was Winnipeg's star running back for a long time. He was before Brady Oliveira came in here in the last few seasons and dominated. And then the last one was Ajo going to the Indianapolis Colts. So he'll be back. I hope. I anticipate. I'm very confident that he will be back because most CFL receivers don't make it in the NFL. So yeah.
Why is that? Do you have why is that for anyone who's not maybe as big?
It's just such a different game.
Yeah, like the rules and stuff.
Well, the rules and a lot of people say it's a harder game. I think I disagree. The CFL is a lot harder than NFL. But,
really? What makes the CFL harder than the NFL?
Well, first of all, field is longer and wider.
How many yards is that?
So the NFL is 100 yards.
100 yards.
CFL is 110.
Okay, so it's like what 130 feet or
when
whatever
you look at the difference,
330 feet
on an NFL field. 50 is the center line.
Sure.
55 is the center on a CFL field.
Okay.
So that and then it's wider, and I can't remember how much, but a little bit wider.
Now, are we expecting though that?
No, hold on. Then the other really big difference is we have 3 downs. The Americans have 4.
That is true, yeah.
So you have one less play.
I always was wondering that.
We effectively have 2 plays. I mean, I know we have 3, but we effectively have 2 plays to move the ball 10 yards, whereas they have 3. And that is huge, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because like, you can attempt maybe, a more risky play in the NFL, and then you still have 2 plays to move it, right? But in the CFL, if you miss your first burst, you only have 1 shot, realistically.
Yeah, okay. I can see that. Are we expecting though that players on average might be better in the NFL though, like to a point where they're actually I guess like they might be better at tackling or anything like that? Like are the team sizes the same?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm just trying to figure out the reason why like
here's the thing though. To me, it's not it's comparing apples and oranges. A lot of people say that, oh, well, the players are better. Yeah, but the players have an easier time, right?
Well, that's like my thing. It's like, does it make sense for us have to run more yards? Technically, because in my opinion, that the players on average in the NFL might be better. That's just from an outsider perspective. That's the first thing that comes to mind. I mean, I played football. Like I've played football on a team and stuff in Canada. I've never played American football rules or anything like that. But I'm not like much of a watcher of football, either CFL or NFL. But the first thing that comes to my mind is, can't you say like we have to run further, but our guys might be a little smaller, our guys might be a little less good at tackling, so maybe there needs to be a little bit of a further way to run to balance it out a bit. That's the way I see it, right? Like,
well, that would mean ours are better if they have to run further. Then that would mean
but if the competition isn't as stiff, you know what I mean?
Right. I don't know. Again, I think that it's comparing apples and oranges, but I think the CFL is harder. Anyway, everybody disagrees with me, but that's what I think.
I know. I know nothing about it, and I just disagreed with you. That's pretty crazy.
I don't know.
Maybe you should reevaluate. If even people who don't know football are disagreeing with you, that's pretty crazy.
I think it's a different game, and that people underestimate Canadian football. And like, I watched the AFC Championship between Kansas City and the Bills. And like, I'm gonna be honest, I've seen better football in the CFL in my opinion.
It was a close game.
Like, and not even how close it was. It was just like, on like the opening play, like the Bills missed like 3 throws. I mean, I know that happens in the CFL too, but I just felt like throughout the whole thing, and this is supposed to be like top 4 best teams in the NFL, and like I felt like they were playing like shit. Like the number of throws that they were just missing completely, the tackles that they were missing.
Earlier that day, they had the Eagles game, and the Eagles were going up against who were the Eagles against?
The Commanders, Washington Commanders.
And someone in the bar I was at yelled. Well, I won't say what he yelled, but he was yelling at the TV. I can't say what he yelled, actually. But not that I won't. I can't. And he said, these blanks, no wonder you're going to lose. And, of course, they lost by a bit to the Eagles, but he was yelling at the bar. So I would actually argue that the Chiefs game was better than the Eagles game.
If that was better, then, like, holy shit, my point stands, Like...
Could you argue that you're maybe a little bit more invested in the CFL and are a little bit more biased?
Yes, but I can still objectively watch it and say that I've seen far better in the CFL than I have, and this is supposed to be top 4. Like, I should be able to watch the top 2 teams in the AFC play and say, wow, that was way better than any CFL I have ever played, if the NFL is just objectively better.
What do you think about elements like pressure, nervousness to go to the Super Bowl?
They're professional sports. They're professional players.
Yeah, you have to deal with that.
There's still pressure in the CFL, right?
For sure.
It's no different than, the semifinals in the CFL. There's just as much pressure. Just because it's the NFL, it's still your job, right? It doesn't matter what league it's in.
I agree. Just as an outsider, the first thing that comes to my mind is like...
If anything, I'd almost say there's less pressure in the NFL, because these guys are making a hell of a lot more money than people in the CFL. So, like, in the CFL, if you're out of a job, you don't just have, $500,000 to coast on for the next 6 months.
I just think, part of me thinks, like, if the guys are bigger and better in the NFL on average, then maybe there's more pressure to make that play and run the ball or make the pass. You know what I mean? Because you have... On average, maybe in the
But
CFL you have an average
right.
250-pound guy who's 6'2" coming at you, but then all of a sudden you go to the NFL and it's a 6'5" guy who's 320
Right.
pounds,
But
and all of a
again-
sudden it's like a bull charging at you in the
Right.
middle of a crop circle,
But
right?
I'll say it again. They're professional sports players.
Yeah.
The pressure isn't supposed to matter. But also, is there much difference between a 250-pound and a 300-pound guy charging at you? Like, really? If you're like, a 5 foot 10,
I watched Waterboy.
if you're like a 5'10", 175-pound running back, does it really matter whether you get hit by a half-grown bull or a fully grown bull?
Just the injuries. That
Yeah, exactly, right?
Yeah. You're going down no matter what. It just depends on if you're getting out on a stretcher or if you're able to walk out of that field.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing that I find with the NFL is so it's like with the touchback. So in the NFL, they kick it. If they catch it in the end zone, they can take a knee, and then they start out on, I think it's the 35 or 30 or something like that, 40. I don't remember exactly where they start. They start out a little ways on theirs. In the CFL, you take a knee in the end zone, it's 1 point for the other team. So there's a lot more pressure to get out of the end zone on those kick returns. Like if you receive the ball, if you're the kick return, and you receive the ball at the 15-yard line, and you don't make it, 10 yards, or well, I mean, you still get it first down from wherever you make it to, right? But if in the NFL, I'm just gonna take it in the end zone, take a knee, I get it on the 35, right? But in the CFL, if I get on the 15, I'm trying to get as far off the field as I can because I know that I'm getting the ball wherever I get it, right? And I really like that return game, and I understand they're trying to reduce injuries or whatever, but I don't see that many injuries on kick returns in the CFL. And I don't know what the difference there maybe is between the CFL and NFL, why there was more injuries, but I still I'd like to see that. To me, it's like a cop out. Like the kick doesn't mean anything anymore, right? That part of the game just feels pointless because they just take the knee, right?
Do you think that the NFL should go to 3 downs? Do you think?
I'd love to see them. I'd love to go to 4. No, the NFL should go to 3. I think 3-down football is a lot harder. It's lower scoring. It means more, right? You look at the average score of an NFL game, and I don't have any stats, but you just watch an NFL game, what are they scoring? 40, 50 points a game? If you get a 40 or 50-point game in the CFL, that's a really, really high-scoring game.
Yeah, I guess I could say, what was it 31-33 for the Chiefs and the and the Bills?
Like that, something like that.
And then it was, I want to say it was
55 something for the
40 something or whatever, right?
It was pretty high.
Yeah, to 20 or something,
Yeah.
something like that. Those numbers are off, but it's relatively in that area. So those would be high scoring games, right? I'm not an expert on the CFL stats, but yeah, it's like almost getting towards more of what a basketball game is in a way sometimes.
Right.
You know what I mean? But yeah, I don't know. I'm not an expert on that at all.
Anyway. Good conversation here. I'm going to get some Frankie's fingers rolling.
We're going to roll out. We're going to do this, hey?
We're going to do this.
Is there anything else? I should say, I want to know some weird facts. Okay. I learned that I think it's just getting to the Super Bowl, just playing in the Super Bowl game and making an appearance is an extra $160,000 to an NFL player.
They make a freaking lot of money.
And then if you win the Super Bowl, it's $400,000 or something instantly, and you're added as a bonus to you.
Yeah.
So just for playing in the Super Bowl, you're getting almost $200,000.
Yeah.
Just making it there. So awesome on top of your contract. So perfect. I also learned that I think an average of what's a crazy amount, 300 rings is given to a winning team. Crazy between all the players and coaches and officials.
Yeah.
Pretty crazy.
Yeah, the officials don't get rings. Well, actually, they might this year with Kansas wins.
Okay.
What?
No. Yeah. I thought we weren't playing the tinfoil hat conspiracy game.
I can't. It's not a conspiracy. It's fact.
I don't know. I would have liked. I was pretty adamant that I thought a Bills versus Chiefs Super Bowl would have been so awesome. And I figured if the Bills beat the Chiefs, they would have lost against the Eagles. And I would rather see Kansas City win than how do I say it? The Eagles, I would rather see Chiefs win the Super Bowl and have the Eagles lose and I would rather have the Bills win the Super Bowl and Kansas losing. But I knew the Eagles would beat the Bills, so I figured the Chiefs versus the Eagles. It's going to be the Chiefs, in my opinion. And so it just made sense to have it made sense. The Chiefs win.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I wanted the Bills to win just because I'm not a Chiefs fan, but
I would rather
It
have
is
the
what it
Bills
is.
win a Super
It
Bowl.
is what
That
it
would
is,
be
so.
so electric for their fan base.
but
But not gonna happen this year. And I figured
yeah.
if the Bills got to the Super Bowl just to get slam dunked by the Eagles,
Yeah.
that would have been so disheartening again to see the Bills make it to the Super Bowl and lose.
Yep.
But I think it just made so much sense to have like let the Chiefs go 3 in a row or whatever.
Anyway, that's your show. We'll see you later.
That's done? Wow.